What's going on, my friends? Today I'm going to talk about something that might help you a lot with your training when it comes to your back. So for a lot of us, it's very easy for us to make that mind-muscle connection to our traps up here. See, like that? But when we try to do work here in our lats, it can be a little trickier. It's just a more sort of abstract location on the body, and it tends to not engage quite as easily when we're trying to isolate it. So today I'm going to talk about some tricks to really be able to enhance that mind-muscle connection with your lats. And also, if you're a competitor, when you pose, especially on your front poses here, it is so key that you know how to connect well to your lats. So hopefully this video will help you as well. So I'm going to start with hitting the lats from every angle and showing you the mental cues I use to be able to connect, as well as the form tips and the layout of my workout so that I get all I can from my lat workouts before I move into other areas like rhomboids and traps, rear delts. The best thing you can do is start with lats, especially if you have a hard time to connect with them, because once you engage those other muscle groups, once you start targeting your traps, the top of your back, it's a lot easier for those groups to take over all of your exercises. So let's get started. I'm going to break down a few primary lat workouts, or should I say exercises, and then show you some mental cues that you can use to be able to really make that connection on your lats. So we're going to start with a single arm overhead pull down. What you can do is use either a machine, lat pull down. You can use bands. If you're working out from home, throw them over a door sill. Make sure they're nice and locked in, and then you can go through the motion just the same way. Now, if we were using this machine like normal, we would be sitting right here, and we would be directly under the lat pull down. But a good way to connect with the lats a little better, especially if you're struggling, is to get behind the machine, so that way you get more of a stretch in between your reps. So it's gonna look like this. And a few notes: don't death grip this. If you grip it really hard, your arm's gonna start doing a lot of the work. And if that's what you're going for, go for it. But for the purpose of this video, we're trying to enhance this. So allow the stretch. You wanna keep your feet planted all the way up to your hips, so you don't want that moving very much. You don't wanna be sliding around, you wanna be locked in. And I want you to picture this right here doing all the pulling. And don't put a whole lot of weight on it. Once you get more advanced and it's easy to make this connection, throw some more weight on, but for now, we're honing in on form. So we're not death gripping this. We're imagining this area engaging first and pulling the weight down. And then pause here and really squeeze. Use your hand, because if you touch the areas you're trying to work, that enhances your mind-muscle connection. Your brain's gonna go to where that physical touch is. So I like to keep my hand there and just tap it here and imagine this engaging to bring the weight down. Pause and squeeze, back up. Breathe out as you pull it down, and breathe in as you let it go up. Allow yourself to stretch at the top. And another trick you can use is where you feel that stretch, pull. So when you come up, you feel the stretch, put your mind where the stretch is, and pull where the stretch is. Now this might take you 2 or 3 times to get used to. Do both sides, but just keep practicing. And I promise you, one day, you're gonna realize, holy cow, my lats are on fire because I'm working them so hard. And so another thing I do is I supinate my hand as I bring it down. So I twist it so that by the time I'm here, my palm's up. So by going overhand at the top, then twisting to supinate the hand at the bottom, it helps engage that muscle group a little bit better. It helps aid the stretch, so it really brings my lat around my body and then allows me to pull from that lat and pinch it right here. So this is a great warm-up. So I would start this on your back workouts, and then if you're a competitor, do these, and as soon as you have them fired up and you're feeling nice and warm right there, I want you to turn to a mirror and go into your front pose. Because it's so much easier, you guys, to get into these poses when we have a good pump there. If we're not connecting with this muscle when we're working out, we're not gonna connect with it in our poses. So I would suggest doing these single arm pull downs at the gym, and as soon as you finish, go find a mirror and work on your front pose before you go into your next workout, which we're about to do now. So a lot of the same mental cues that we used on the single arm overhead pull downs, we're gonna be using on these single arm bent over rows. So again, choose a weight that's not gonna be too hard. Once you really enhance that mind muscle connection, you can push more weight, pull more weight, I should say. But for now, start with a somewhat light weight and think about a lot of those cues that we used. So first, let's get into the stance. You want your feet to be pretty grounded, have one foot behind you, but have your hips squared straight forward. So you want to be facing whatever is in front of you that you're going to be resting on. You can use a bench, you can use a rack, a weight rack, just something that's about a little lower than hip distance or hip height. You're going to put your hand on there, and then you want your back to be as parallel as you can to the floor. So from the side, it looks like this. And if you want, you can rest your forearm if that's easier to get you more parallel. And then same thing, you want to feel that stretch as you lower the weight. Keep your spine neutral. You don't want to curve this way. You don't want to have your butt way up. Just keep it neutral. Supinate your hand, bring the weight up. Let the stretch happen. Let your palm fold over the weight and then bring back up. And just keep in mind, you want to have your mind on your lat the whole time. You want to imagine this engaging to bring that weight up. And you guys, as soon as you start to feel another area like a trap or a shoulder takeover, just set the weight down, shake it off, kind of rest for a second, and then go back to it. Because you're not doing yourself any favor. If the wrong muscle groups are working, you're not doing yourself any favors by just pushing through. Because those muscles that you're not targeting are going to continue to fatigue, and meanwhile, your lats aren't going to be doing much work. So really hone in and be really picky about making that connection. Then you just do the same thing on the other side. Now, the reason why I'm doing these things single arm to begin with is to really help that stretch. Because once we stretch, our mind goes to where we're feeling that stretch. And then we can tell ourselves, okay, pull where the stretch is. So it's all about having our mind on the location we're working. So if we were doing both arms, like here, bent over rows, that's just as possible to get a good muscle connection to your lats. The only thing is, you need to make sure that you've established that. So if you don't have that connection yet, and you're sitting here pumping out bent over rows, chances are you're feeling it more in your traps and in areas you're not necessarily wanting to grow. So nail down that mind muscle connection first, then move on to more of your double arm workouts. Talking about those, the next exercise we're going to do is going to be 2 arms at once. It's going to be cable rows. We're going to row them into our hips. And I want you guys to leave this for your 3rd or 4th workout. Begin your workout, your back day, with single arm workouts. So that way you can make that connection, mind muscle, to your lats. Then go and do some of your double arm movements or your compounds, like say rack pulls or barbell bent over rows, things that are going to require a little more of an advanced mind muscle connection. Leave those for a little later in your workout and start off with these really detailed, isolated exercises to get the blood flow to that muscle group that you're wanting to work. The last exercise I'm going to show you, like I said, are cable rows, and I'm going to show you some cues to help you engage that muscle using both arms at once. And again, if you're a competitor, I highly recommend after you do these bent over rows, when you feel that good blood flow there, look in a mirror and just stare at your lats. And even if you're not a competitor, if this is still a struggle for you as you're doing these workouts, don't be afraid of the mirror. Mirrors are great. Mirrors help our minds connect with what we're working. So stare in the mirror, stare right here, practice flexing them. You'll get to the point where you'll be able to do one at a time like this. So just practice, 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 and I promise you'll get it. Okay, now for the last exercise I'm going to show you today, I just want to tell you guys that remember, you don't have to be married to these exercises. You can do different variations. Just know that these are what work for me, but I've heard from clients and friends some different tricks. For example, underhand. An underhand grip can be very helpful. A lot of people find going wide grip is helpful for them. I personally find when I go wide, it engages my traps really easily. So play with this. Remember that this is to better yourself and to have fun. So don't be afraid to play around. Just keep your form tight. All right, so if we do both arms, on these, I like to go underhand. And again, you can use different variations. You can use a row machine. You can use bands wrapped around something. So just recreate the feeling. But what I do is I use double hands after I've engaged my lats very well through my workout. I'm gonna do underhand just to help. And then you're gonna pull it into your hips and squeeze. You don't have to pull your arms way back here. You can stop your elbows a little past your torso. And then again, allow that stretch. Stretching is really big in these. And then squeezing at the top. What you don't want to do is this. Now, if you're using a row machine for some cardio, sure, go for it. But when we're talking about shaping your body and building a back, you need to be filling it in the right places. So engage your lats, pull, squeeze, control it on the way down. And then again, squeeze and control it on the way down. Now, once you get fatigued, if you've locked your form in and you start to get to where you're kind of failing here, feel free to add a little rock in just to burn it out. But you'll probably notice that that's going to go to your arms a little more. So just fill it out, see what's best for you. Also, you can use bands. You can use straps. So if you want to use straps, that's going to take your grip completely out of it. That's going to be your grip for you. So that way it's all in your back. It's not in your arms at all. So just play, have fun, leave both arms for exercises later on in your workout. Start off with the single arm exercises. Use the mirror. Don't be afraid to go flex. Everybody does it. So no one cares. No one's looking at you. You're there for you. So when you go to the gym, use those mirrors. Don't care what other people think. Connect to your lats. Stare at them in the mirror. Touch them. Physical touch is going to help that mind-muscle connection. Have fun and go hard. Hope this helped.